What's good, guys? Hey, we got a live consulting call. Getting ready. We're getting ready to do. We're going to broadcast. We're going to broadcast out, record it, and stick it out on YouTube for y'all to hear. It's a 30-minute call. He's got a 30-minute call, so we're going to cover that. He should be calling any minute now, and y'all enjoy. Hopefully, it's a lot of value to you, as well as him. Thanks. Thank you for calling Jump Doctors. This is Lee. How can I help you?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great.
Is this David or is it Glenn or?
Yeah, that's Dave.
Okay. Hey, you doing all right today, David?
Busy, right? Huh?
You doing good today?
Yeah, I'm doing good today.
Well, good, man.
I
Well,
was just calling to see if you was busy or not. I didn't want to. I don't know if you're busy. I could give you a call back.
well, man, I had you down between 6:30 and 7, so we're good. You know, we can go into about 7 o'clock, do about a 20-minute call right now. I've got a little bit of an echo going on right here, so I apologize. That's where I'm located. But if you want to kind of rotate or roll right into it, just kind of tell me a little bit about yourself, your business, what you've been doing as far as junk removal, and what you got going on now.
Well, what I got going on basically is, I just got a truck and a trailer right now, 14-foot trailer.
Yep.
But I'm just trying to get more jobs every day, man. I don't know. The Craigslist and everything is working, but it's really not working as much as it could be. I don't need to have a Fortune 500 company, but if he's working every day, I'd be happy with that.
How many jobs are you typically averaging now, say like per week?
I don't know, maybe around 4.
Okay, 4 jobs per week. Is that all you're doing for work right now?
Yeah, that's all I'm doing right now is just junk removal.
Okay. Do you know what you're normally how much money you're normally making on average per job?
Between 200 and maybe 400.
Okay. How often are you posting your Craigslist ads?
Maybe like 2 times a week.
Okay. And let's see, Craigslist is are they charging to post in your market now?
Yeah, $5.
$5. Okay. Yeah, I think that's nationwide now. But for a while, there was just certain markets, but I think they've done it in every single market now. Back when we used to do Craigslist, which we don't now, one of the things that we would always do is post multiple times a day. Now, I understand they're charging $5 a day now, so that starts to add up. But if by posting 2 to 3 times a day, you got just one more job out of that, which is very well possible. That would more than pay for the ad. Am I correct in saying that with what you've been charging all?
Right.
What do you have? Can you email me the link to your ad?
Yeah, I can send it to you.
Would you be able to do that Okay. Well, let me take a look at the ad and kind of see how your ad sounds and the ad copy and everything, and see if I've got any suggestions on that, because that does matter too. Now, when people call you up, do you go by David or Glenn? David. Okay. Is your last name Glenn?
Yes, sir.
Okay, got it. David, when people call you, are you pretty much answering your phone every single time?
Yes, sir.
All right, pretend I'm a customer. I just called you up and I said, I'm looking to have my garage cleaned out. I'm interested to know how you price. How do you explain, how do you price?
I usually come out and give a free estimate.
Do you explain the cost to your potential customer when they ask you, how do you price?
Yeah, I explain it to them.
All right. So pretend I'm a customer and explain to me what your, pretend I'm a customer and explain to me pricing.
Well, my pricing is, I have a 14-foot trailer. A quarter of the trailer is $125. Half of the trailer is $250. Third of the trailer is $300, and the full trailer is $400.
Okay. Okay. So that's a very common way that people explain pricing. And as far as with junk removal, the problem is it's confusing to the customer. So let's reverse this around. If you called me up and you asked me to explain pricing to you, and David, this is being recorded. We're going to place it on YouTube, and that way you can listen to it back all the time what I'm about to say. So if you called me up and you asked how I explain pricing, I'd say, okay, David, we charge based on the amount of space your items take up in our truck. The trucks we have are 8 by 10 by 5, basically equivalent to 6 pickup truck loads. It's anywhere from a minimum of $95. It goes up through 12 separate price points to a full load rate of $490. That includes all labor. So no matter where your stuff is, we're going to go and get it for you. And you do get a firm, no obligation estimate up front as well. And then a lot of times I'll roll into something like that. At that point, is that something you'd like to go ahead and get set up and get scheduled? And the reason is most people can't envision, we tell them the truck size, but most people can't even envision how big that is. So we try and equate it to pickup truckloads, or even like sometimes we'll say like a medium-sized U-Haul. It's kind of how we equate it to. And that's something people can actually visualize. And you are using a trailer instead of a truck, but you can still figure out, what's the dimensions of your trailer? I know it's 14 foot long. How wide is it?
6.5 by 14.
6.5 by 14. How big walls do you have on sides?
It just, I'm not really sure. They may be about, it's high as the gate, it's high as the utility trailer, so.
Probably 4 foot, maybe?
Plywood on that, yeah.
So 4 foot. So you're 6.5 by 14 by 4. I'm not doing the math on that, but you're probably somewhere around that same 15 cubic yards like we put on our truck. Could potentially be a little bit more than that, but somewhere right around that is what you can get on that trailer. What you need to do is I would do about the same thing. I tell them we can hold about as much stuff as a medium U-Haul. Give them a minimum price, give them a maximum price, let them know they get a no obligation estimate up front. And from that point, you need to go ahead and try and get them scheduled. So what happens when you're going through each individual price point is you kind of confuse people. And that's something you certainly don't want to do. So re-listen to this video, and I think that right there will help you out a lot as far as just getting more appointments. How many appointments are you scheduling for every call you get, approximately?
Usually, maybe 8 out of 10. Usually, 8 out of 10 calls that people call me, I usually get the job.
Okay. Well, that's good. That means we just got to get you more calls then. Okay.
Right.
And you're doing just Craigslist, is that right?
Craigslist, offer which you're not really supposed to do nothing on that, but I get a lot of jobs offer jobs off of 5 Mile, jobs off of Godbold. I don't have any social media, so I'm setting that up now, me and my daughter, I was talking to another fellow down there.
Well, here's the deal. By far and away the best way to get customers is Google, is being on Google and Google AdWords and that kind of stuff. But in your situation with what I'm hearing from you is I would increase the amount of ads you're putting up on Craigslist. And I would try and get some good business going there where you got some income coming in from that and all. And then, do you have any sort of website set up?
No, I don't.
Okay. That's not a big deal on Craigslist. To get Craigslist jobs, having a website isn't a huge deal. Sometimes I think it might actually hurt you because a lot of times when people are going on Craigslist to hire somebody, they actually don't want a sophisticated company. They want just an individual because they correctly so perceive them as being a cheaper price, and that's your cheapest customer. So I think if you increase the frequency you're posting, bump it up to twice. You're saying two days, two times a week now. I bump it up to once a day, and just experiment with that. Send me your ad copy, and I'll give you suggestions if I have any. As far as getting some more jobs, but that's where I'd start with. The other thing you can look into, I would avoid Home Advisor, but Thumbtack. Have you looked into Thumbtack?
Yeah, I've been on some jobs on there, and I'm never getting any jobs back. Maybe because of the way my profile is set up. So, I have been doing some estimates on that, so I'm not sure. A lot of people tell me to avoid Home Advisor, but I have been, bidding on some jobs on Thumbtack.
Well, Home Advisor will bring you work, but it can be kind of a bit expensive. It might not be a bad thing for you to do, though, to be honest with you. But the key on Home Advisor is to make sure that you, as soon as that lead comes in, that you're picking your phone up and you're calling those people. And man, it can come in at any time of the day. I mean, literally, it could come in at 7 a.m. in the morning. It could come in at 10 p.m. in the evening. And we just make it a priority to make sure we're always calling those people back. And that can be annoying. It's 10 o'clock at night. A lot of times you got a lot of other things going on than work and answering the phone. But if you can make that call, we book up a lot of those that come in at that time at night. Home Advisor will assist you with setting up a profile too. So you could look into that. You're going to pay somewhere around every job you get. You're going to pay around $20, or every lead you get, you're going to pay around $20. So you need to be able to convert one out of every 2 or 3 into a job for it to be profitable for you. But the way we always approached it, advertising, and we still do, is if you can make just a little bit of money, maybe even break even. Once you get where you've got some employees, almost where you can break even. Now, when you're doing it on your own, it sometimes can be hard to go out and spend so much money on advertising that you're breaking even on different jobs and all. But because that's a potential customer you're going to get later on down the line. That's a potential referral. It's a potential review. If you're jotting notes down, if you don't have a Google Places, if you're not on Google Maps, you need to get on Google Maps. And every job you do for a customer, I'd ask them to leave you a review. You can send them a link. You'll need to look into doing that. And you're getting a Facebook page set up, so that'll help too. They can also leave you a review on Facebook. But those reviews on social media help kind of validate your business, and it increases the likelihood that people would in turn hire you.
Right. So yeah, I'm going to be setting them up as soon as possible.
Yeah, and man, you can record. You can set you up a camera, record some of your jobs, that sort of deal. That's some good content you can put out on Facebook. Facebook. You do get work from it, but it's not a huge generator of business, but you definitely can get some business from it. There's also something else called Nextdoor.com. Nextdoor.com, and you can't really advertise on it, but if you sign up in your area and you see people that are asking for junk removal, then you can respond to them. This is free. You can respond to them and say, I provide junk removal services. I can come by and take care of that for you. So that's another type of free business. And then just, you can pass flyers out. I mean, that's not very original and all, but you really need to get to the point you can do AdWords. And AdWords is profitable from the start, but it's, it's definitely, the setup and all is a bit expensive. I mean, if you go with us on AdWords management, it's $750. Twice a month is $750, so it's $1,500 a month management fee, and then you're going to pay Google another $2,000 to $3,000, and that's going to bring you on average in an average city. We tell people around 40 jobs a month. So I can send you those numbers, but and what kind of setup? We've got a new program coming out that's kind of a pay as you. I haven't announced the details yet, but it's basically a pay per job program, and I'll go into further details on that. But we're pretty selective on who we take and how they're set up because they're kind of a representative of Junk Removal Authority. So, do you have signage on your truck at all? I mean, you know, what kind of trailer you got? Do you have a picture of your setup?
Yes, we do.
All right, email that to me also. Let me take a look. My guess is you probably don't quite qualify yet, but maybe over time we can work with you on that. I'll send you information on our AdWords stuff. I can tell you it's a different mindset, and it's a, you know, because I know $750 that's a good chunk of change right there to get paid out, but but you know, on average, like I said, the average is somewhere 45 jobs a month, averaging $300 a job would come in right there. So I mean, that's adding 10 jobs, you know, around 10 jobs a week, you know, to you. So. And the very first month out, you might not quite do that, but generally by month 2, you're around that number, especially, you know, through this time of year.
Right. That sounds great. I'm just trying to make it, you know, just take it to the next level like you guys have. And y'all have a great setup. You know, and that was, you know, at first I was kind of like against what you were saying, but then when I started looking at your videos, I was like, you know, he's making a lot of sense. So I just subscribed and I just started paying attention to what you were saying. I looked at a lot of your videos.
Well, do you have any other type of? I mean, can you pick up a part-time job or something like that other than junk removal too? Just to get your income up. Do you have a way of doing that? Is there something else you could do potentially?
Yeah.
What could you do? How much money could you make doing whatever that is? Well, that's pretty damn good right there. What kind of work is that?
Installation. I do cubicle installation.
So, David, here's what I would tell you to do: is you email me. Like I said, still email me those pictures, that Craigslist ad copy. I'll work on that. If we could get you a website set up and work with me a little bit more on answering phones and that kind of stuff. And if you're serious about growing, we can do AdWords in your market. I'd like to see exactly what market you're in, and look and see how big the market is and income levels, that kind of stuff. What the reason I say is I'd go to work. Is that a part-time job where you can with somewhat flexible hours, or is that Monday through Friday? You got to be doing it all the time.
The only thing about that is I really don't know what time we be getting off, and yeah, basically it would be kind of like a full-time job.
Ah, okay. Is you got anything part-time that's kind of flexible that you can do?
I'll try to look into it, but that's like at my max skill set of making the most money. So yeah, I'm really looking for something else.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily you've got to pick a job that you're going to make your most money at, because what you need a job that's fairly, you can make some extra money, even if it's $10 an hour. I know that's half of what you're doing now, but if you can find some job that you're making some money on, additional money, but it's flexible, so you can do your junk removal jobs. You know, you can have a quick response time and still get all your junk removal jobs done. Then that way, when you're first getting going with AdWords and you're getting that website done, you've got some other income coming too. You know, and that's what I tell everybody, or not everybody, but people in your situation that come and speak with me. Find something else until your junk removal is just keeping you flat out busy, where you're making making good money and all. So, well, hey, we got a couple minutes left. You got anything you want to ask me? Anything else?
How did you really get started? Like, you just woke up one day and just was like, well, I'm going to do this. I know you said you and your partner decided to do it.
Well, and I covered this on a video I posted the other day, but I used to race like NASCAR style race cars. I basically ran out of money. I sold off everything I had other than my pickup truck, and just randomly thought, hey, people have stuff. I can, in the meantime, till I figure out exactly what I want to do, I can just use my pickup truck and haul stuff. So I mean, for the first week, I put a Craigslist ad up, and I think within 30 minutes I had a call. And then like that one day, and Craigslist used to be better back then than it is now. I had 2 or 3 jobs in the first couple days that I was doing it, and I was only charging like $50. I started at $50 per pickup truck load, so it was way too cheap because I mean back then you couldn't research pricing or anything, and you could see what Got Junk was charging, but that was it. Within about 2 weeks, I was borrowing my ball. I worked at a roller skating rink, so I borrowed my boss's trailer, and he had this 6x12 trailer with there's 3 or 6 inch sides on it. There was like no sides, and we'd run ratchet straps all across that thing, just kind of containing everything, and that's how I got going. I think at that point I was charging like $200 for a trailer load, still way too cheap. Eventually, we were staying really busy, doing probably 3 jobs a day, which our typical crew now does about 5 jobs a day. We run multiple crews, and each crew averages around 5 jobs a day. We were hand loading and hand unloading back then. So I mean, three jobs was you were moving to get 3 jobs done in a day, and we had saved up $15,000-$16,000. Found an old 1-800 Junk truck down in Jacksonville, Florida. The guy was selling it for $11,500. You're not going to find that type of deal anymore. I mean, this was still kind of in the recession, so this guy was he was close to losing his house. He was kind of bad off. So he had that thing for sale, and I called him up, and we worked out a price at $11,500. Flew down to Jacksonville, drove it back to North Carolina. We got that dump truck. We could then do 5-6 jobs a day, and hustle, and that's just kind of where it went from there. And for the next couple years, we averaged adding 1 to 2 trucks per year. We probably won't add a truck this year. We have about what we need for this year, but expanded out into other cities, and just every single time I'd have an issue or problem come up and it kind of knocked me down, I was always resilient enough that I would, fight back. And then I can tell you that the best thing I did is just we just advertise. We would just advertise and advertise and advertise. And because if you think about it, I mean, that's the key. The more people that you reach, the more people they're going to be able to hire you. And then the Google customer is the least price sensitive out of any customer. A lot of your competition isn't willing to go on and pay and advertise on Google because they're afraid of it. And Google can burn you if your campaign isn't set up right. And I mean that's really just that I've always kind of had a long-term vision. I wasn't very short-term, and I'm still not now. And if you can have a long-term approach to it and do whatever it takes to just get it advertised as much as you can, then you're gonna, in a couple years, even in a year, just 1 year, you'll be significantly better off than you are now. And then in 2 or 3 years, it's pretty amazing what can take place at that point.
So you get most of your work from Google Words?
Yeah, Google AdWords. At one point when we first started, it was like 80% of our business. I mean, if you think about it, and maybe you're not this way, but I'm sure your daughter is, and maybe you are too. But what's the first? If you're not familiar with the service, if you're in an unfamiliar area and you're looking for a restaurant you want to go to, if you're looking just for anything, I mean, unless you happen to know somebody